Wonders never cease. There are more Quest 3 leaks to talk about. People just don't know how to keep a secret these days, do they? Today we're talking about the largest Quest storage size ever created and some of the first Quest 3 accessories that leaked online. Let's do it right now. First up, let's address the larger storage size. So the Quest 2 started off at 64 gigabytes and 256 gigabytes. Now it's 128 and 256 since they retired the 64 gigabyte model. But the Quest 3's base model is 128 gigabytes, and we knew there was going to be a larger storage size, but nobody really knew what size it was. I personally was hoping for a terabyte. We didn't quite make it that far, but we did make it to 512 gigabytes for the upgraded storage size, which is twice the size of the largest storage size of the Quest 2, and a whopping 4 times bigger than the base Quest 3 model. Why is that important? Well, Asgard's Wrath 2, one game for the Quest 3 is around 25 gigabytes, apparently. That's a lot of storage. That means with the 128, you'd only be able to fit like 4 games on there of that size because the OS and everything else that's on there, you're not really getting 128 gigabytes. So you could fit 4, maybe 5 if you were lucky, games of that similar size on a Quest 3 128. On a 512, you could fit 4 times that amount, which I think is going to become more and more important as bigger games release, which I expect to happen with the Quest 3 far more than with the original Quest and the Quest 2. And how much more is that going to cost you? Well, according to the leaks and this website that's all in euros, if you do the math and you take away the tax that it's adding onto the accessories, which we'll talk about in a minute, and to the Quest, you're looking at about $100 more for the upgraded model, which makes total sense. So for $499, you can get 128 gigabytes of storage, or for $599, you get 512 gigabytes of storage, which is a massive upgrade, and as a content creator, it's something that'll be a huge asset to me because I have tons of games installed all the time and lots of video recordings. Now that for me is really one of the most exciting parts about this leak, the larger storage size. But there's also some really cool stuff that was also leaked online as well, including some additional specs. There's a spec list flying around on the internet because of another website. You're going to see a whole bunch of specs kind of cycling through. A lot of these we already knew, like it was an LCD display that was kind of assumed. It does say that the resolution is per eye, and there's another website that lists the screen size as 2.5 inches, which sounds like it's 2 screens instead of 1 LCD panel, which would be a huge upgrade over the Quest 2 for IPD purposes and just for overall quality and clarity. That means that instead of getting a large display split into 2 pieces, you're getting 2 different displays set at a specific resolution. It's just going to look better than 1 LCD panel, and that's what it's starting to look like is the case for the Quest 3. What else is there for information? Well, there's the FOV, which the vertical FOV is 93 and the horizontal is 97, I think. Although that could be backwards, which is pretty close to similar to the Quest 2, apparently maybe slightly wider depending on your IPD, but the fact that the screen is closer to your eyes and the lenses are closer to the screen and they're pancake lenses is going to increase the FOV anyways, like it does with the Quest Pro, so I'm expecting a good FOV. At least the Quest 2 probably going to feel bigger than that. One interesting thing that's been being passed around for a while is 120 hertz refresh rate. Now, I wasn't sure if that was going to be the case. I kind of assumed it was actually going to be 90, and that was where it was going to be, just like the Quest 2. But this seems to indicate that the display is going to be a 120 hertz display. Now, the Quest 2 can go up to 120 hertz, but it's not its native display that runs the OS and everything on the platform. So does that mean that we're going to get a native 120 hertz display on the Quest 3? It's possible. It sounds like that. I don't think they would list it unless it was the display that most of the content you're going to be experiencing is going to be at. So that's just another additional good thing that the power of the Quest 3 is bringing to us, a higher refresh rate. So those are the specs that came out. Some additional information. That's exciting. Now let's talk about these new accessories. First up is the charging dock accessory, which we've talked about before, and I said it was the most anticipated accessory for me for the Quest 3, and it still is, and it still looks pretty awesome. If you look at it here in this photo from the webpage that had it for sale, it lists it as being 149 euros. Now, I don't know how that translates to US dollars, if it's going to be $150, if there's tax added onto that as well. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be somewhere between $100 and $150, I would imagine, for this dock for the Quest 3. I'm leaning more towards the $150 mark, but hopefully it'll be $99 because that's just a much better price. But the dock will allow you to actually place the Quest 3 on the dock to continuously charge it as you're not using it and keep it charged. And it sounds like, from what we talked about before, that the spots where the controllers are going to sit are also going to be wireless charging spots so that you can recharge rechargeable batteries that way, which would be absolutely amazing because you never have to worry about a dead Quest 3 or controllers ever again. Other accessories include a silicone replacement facial interface. Now, there's one thing interesting about this. This isn't the same type of silicone interface that was given free to replace the crappy interface that came on the Quest 2. This isn't just a cover, this is literally a full interface. And if you look at the sides of this interface, you can see these lines that look like they could be pulled up and down. That, I believe, now I don't know this for sure, is what we talked about previously, where the facial interface can move in and out. I think that is how it's going to work. You're going to actually be able to pull that facial interface itself in and out to increase the depth for glasses, etc. Now, beyond that facial interface and the charging dock, there's also the Battery Elite Strap. Now, this looks identical to the Quest 2 Elite Strap. Somebody mentioned that on Twitter, that it looked too close to the Quest 2's Elite Strap, and then if you look at this picture here, the one that's on the charging dock looks different. And let me stop here for just a second and say this is all speculative. I mean, it's all leaks, so it could all be different when it actually launches and the information officially comes out. But we're getting excited and we're talking about it anyways. So this Elite Strap looks pretty much identical to the Quest 2, except for the spot for the charging port and for the headphone jack on the side of the Quest 3. And the length of these arms is different too, so you won't be able to use your Quest 2 head strap unless you do some sort of modifications or 3D print some sort of adapter. Also, there is a Quest 3 case. Looks very similar to the Quest 2 case. And if it's anything like the Quest 2 case, it probably will only fit the actual Quest 3 and its soft strap with some other stuff. Because as far as I can remember, the Quest 2 case didn't fit the Elite strap properly, or it did maybe, but you had to make some adjustments. I don't remember. It's been so long. I don't use the official case. I actually have a secondary case I use for my Quest 2, and I love it. So Quest 3, a lot of these accessories you're going to want to get third-party accessories probably for. I'll test out the Elite Strap and other third-party straps and give you recommendations once I have all that information. But if you have a strap company like Bobo or Kiwi that you love, that's probably what you'll end up doing anyway. Now, I have heard that they are coming out with a non-battery strap for this. This is the battery one. The non-battery Elite Strap was not listed. I also heard they're coming out with official grips, potentially, for the Quest 3 controllers. I love having grips on my controllers. It's something that's been a huge asset, not only for not throwing your controllers, but just for the grip and for the fact that it just feels much better holding them. Well, that's it. Those are the accessories and the new Quest 3 model we didn't know about and some additional specs. What do you think about what we've seen so far? It's like a freaking bucket with holes in it, how many leaks we're getting right now. So hopefully we'll get more information, and even if we don't, we're getting really close to that announcement at the end of this month. I am going to connect. I will be there, so I'll get all the information I can for you, and I'm hoping to be able to actually create content on the go and continuously have you informed about what is coming, how it's coming, and how awesome it's going to be. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date on all things Quest 3 and Quest platform, and happy questing.